Welcome to In Depth with Academia. I'm your host, Richard Price, founder and CEO of academia.edu, excited to bring you another dive into fresh academic thinking from across the scholarly universe. Today we're exploring a truly fascinating paper by Hadrian Stone. It's called The Paradox of Authenticity in Modern Marketing, When Transparency Becomes Strategy. Now, before we start, I want to say, as I always do, I'm presenting these ideas neutrally, not endorsing or criticizing them. So take these insights as one perspective to chew on. All right, let's dig into the big question Stone raises. The whole paper is built around a delicious little paradox. In today's marketing, from big brands to Instagram influencers, we hear a lot about authenticity. We're told to trust those who are raw and real and transparent. But Stone asks, is what we're seeing actual sincerity, or is it just, a performance? Why does this matter? Because if we're constantly surrounded by strategic authenticity, it impacts who we trust, what we buy, and how we view both ourselves and the world. So, listeners, the next time you scroll through social media, would you rather be vulnerable, or just look like you're being vulnerable? That's the question. So, how does Stone approach this puzzle? The core argument is kind of a bombshell. Authenticity in modern marketing is less about pure honesty and more about the appearance of honesty. Stone argues that what we perceive as realness or genuineness is actually a crafted, curated illusion, and the more effort goes into constructing this, the more effortlessly authentic it seems. He leans on some major psychological research. Folks like Irving Goffman, who basically said all social interaction is like a stage play where people control what they reveal about themselves, and Paul Ekman, who found that people can't really detect honesty, they just spot confidence and consistency. So what does this mean in the real world? Let's get specific. Brands and online personalities, from TikTok creators to CEOs, know the rules of this game. They reveal just enough of their flaws to seem relatable, sometimes crying on camera, letting a little chaos show, but it's always the kind of vulnerability that adds to their status, and never the kind that would undercut it. It's selective transparency, not to mention, it's always the prettiest kind of raw, carefully lit, perfectly timed, ready for viral replays. What we think is a candid moment is often the result of tons of rehearsal wild, right? And let me pause here and just say, this isn't just about marketing, right? I mean, if you think about it, we all curate ourselves on social media, in job interviews, even in how we talk to our friends. It makes me remember this time I tried to act spontaneous on a video call, but I'd actually checked the lighting like 3 times and made sure my bookshelf looked super intellectual behind me. Anyway, back to the paper. Stone introduces something called the Machiavellian Marketing Framework, or MMF. It's a set of strategies about controlling perception and framing trust as a kind of currency. The MMF says that in an algorithm-driven world where everyone fights for attention, the winner isn't the most real person, but the person who seems most deftly, strategically authentic. According to Stone, this isn't deception, it's survival in a crowded digital arena. There's this bit I found really interesting. Stone pulls from psychology to show that audiences reward what feels genuine, not what is genuine. If a brand tells a moving, dramatic story and owns up to carefully chosen mistakes, audiences interpret that as evidence of authenticity, even if everything behind the scenes is controlled. Why? Because we rely on narrative, emotional cues, and story structure way more than we rely on hard proof. This comes up in Paul Bloom's work on essentialism. The idea that if something looks genuine and fits our expectations, we treat it like it's the real thing. Now, before we jump to conclusions, I want to stress again, I'm not endorsing Stone's views, just sharing them for your reflection. These insights don't mean that all authentic marketing is fake or all digital relationships are a lie. What they do suggest is that as consumers and participants in digital culture, we should be a little more attentive to how realness gets produced. If you're someone who builds a personal brand, you might even be thinking, How can I balance honesty with performance? If you're a consumer, maybe you start to ask whether those vulnerable product launches are staged. And really, that's the point of research, helping us think more critically and act more deliberately. So, folks, to sum up, Stone's paper doesn't claim to have all the answers, but it does shine a big, bright light on how authenticity in marketing is often less about truth and more about craft. Maybe that's a little unsettling. Maybe it's liberating. Maybe it just gives you something to talk about over your next coffee. I'll leave it to you. Thanks for joining me on this episode of In Depth with Academia. Don't forget, academic research isn't gospel. It's a lens, a nudge, an invitation to think deeper. If today's topic made you think, or made you annoyed, or just gave you a new question to ask, then hey, the paper did its job. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and stay curious.